I'm Hannah.
I'm Dawn.
And this is a nostalgic deep dive into love lessons.
Before we start, we just want to give a content warning for fat phobia, child abuse and the sexual exploitation of a child. If this episode isn't for you, we'll be bringing out plenty more episodes on Jacqueline Wilson's books that you can have a listen to once they're out. So our plan is to read every single Jacqueline Wilson book that we can get our hands on.
Yeah, we decided to start with love lessons because it's the one everyone had the most opinions about. It's very problematic.
Yeah, it divides a lot of opinions, and I think it's going to be the low point of our series. So we thought we'd get it over and done with, and we have a lot to say.
Definitely. What is your relationship with Jacqueline Wilson's books?
So I started reading Jacqueline Wilson books probably when I was 6 or 7, I would say. I think when I was old enough to read a proper book, that's when I started reading Jacqueline Wilson. And I stopped when I was probably about 12. I just kind of grew out of books, I guess. Even teenage books. I was reading more complicated things by that point. But love lessons I read when I was a lot younger than 12. I'd say probably 9 or 10. Didn't see anything wrong with it. Thought it was great. Thought it was a good old romance.
Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah. And then I probably read it for the last time about 2 years ago. I think I took it on holiday with me. Obviously, I thought it was a little bit problematic, but I wasn't really reading it critically. I was just kind of reading it as a holiday book. So even then, I didn't really get the gravity of how terrible it is. It was really surprising to me just how bad it is when I was reading it this time round.
No, I'm the same kind of with it, because I read it when I was probably about 9, 10 as well for the first time, because I don't know, it's advertised to teenage readers, but with Jacqueline Wilson, you're going to read it when you're 9 or 10, it's just what
definitely.
You do. But I just read it as it's sold. It's sold as a forbidden romance, not something to be oh, this is problematic. So I guess when you do read it, you kind of, you're meant to like their relationship in the book.
Definitely. Wasn't it in your school library?
Yeah, it was in my secondary school library as well, which is just
crazy. That is crazy to me that literally a book about a student and teacher romance was in your school library.
I know, it's not good, and it's just when you look at how bad it actually is, I'm surprised that it was allowed, and someone had to approve that to go into the library.
Right?
I don't know, it's crazy.
Do you want to read the blurb?
Yeah, we'll read the blurb. Prue and her sisters have been educated at home by their ultra-strict father all their lives. When Dad is suddenly rushed to hospital, Prue at last discovers what it's like to have a little freedom. Sent to school for the first time, Prue finds it difficult to settle in. The only person she can talk to is her kindly young art teacher, Rax. When she starts babysitting for Rax's children, Prue finds herself longing for the 10 minutes they have alone together as he drives her home. But she can't act on her secret feelings, can she? An absorbing portrait of a forbidden relationship from the mega best-selling Jacqueline Wilson.
Wow, okay.
Wow.
I know. So we wanted to kind of, we looked at lots of reviews. We didn't want to completely trash this book.
Yeah.
We both went into it wanting to just read the book for what it was. We didn't, especially when I was first reading it, I was going through and highlighting bits. I didn't want to highlight for the sake of highlighting the bad bits. So we read a lot of reviews, positive reviews and negative reviews, just to see what the people were saying. Yeah,
I found it quite difficult to go through it, because obviously with it being the first Jacqueline Wilson book, I didn't want it to all be negative, but it was so hard to go through it and not highlight all the problematic things in it, to be honest, because there were such big things that even in other books you wouldn't kind of.
And as such, we are both such big Jacqueline Wilson fans. This is why we're making this podcast, right? we
this isn't a hate.
No, we're not here to hate on Jacqueline Wilson. We literally love her.
Yeah.
But this book is just trash.
There's no other way to put it.
It's certainly the worst one.
No,
I don't think in this series we're gonna see a book that is as objectively bad as this one, which is good, because it means it can only get better from here. We kind of wanted to see why she decided to write this book, because in terms of theme, it doesn't seem a kind of I guess the stuff with her dad, being an abusive dad, goes along with
what's going on here.
With like her, she writes a lot about like family issues, but a forbidden romance between a teacher and a student isn't really something that I see with Jacqueline Wilson. Like it's kind of a surprising like plot point for a Jacqueline Wilson book. So we had a look at why she decided to write the book and this interview that she did.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Like, the reason she decided to write it was either a publisher. It was either a publisher or an interviewer pretty much said to her, like, is there anything you can't write about? And she said it was a student-teacher relationship. And then it was kind of challenged on her to write about children-teacher romance. But at the same time, I think if you write for kids and you've got such a massive following, like she did say that she is what was it?
It was like the Dr. Dolittle
of children. Like, I don't know, you kind of have a bit of a... I don't know, you have that trust to not write about stuff like this, especially in this kind of way, because I don't know, I know it's a controversial topic and she's like, oh, I'm breaking taboos, but I don't know, I think
didn't she say like it's not that deep, basically? She's just like it, people are taking it too seriously.
Well, there was that quote when she said, why did a teacher snog a student in my book? Because that is every young girl or schoolgirl's fantasy, which is
no. This book is 15 years old, and a lot of people are like, well, it, this isn't something that would fly nowadays, but it went under the radar 15 years ago. But there's still on Goodreads and Amazon reviews from like 6 months ago, a year ago, of young people, like people under 14 being like, this book is really good, I love it, it's so romantic.
Yeah, well, it was like we were watching it.
So we're going to break it down chapter by chapter, going through the whole book, talking about what we liked, because there were some things we liked.
Yeah, there was.
What we didn't like in terms of like bad writing, I suppose. And what we thought was problematic in terms of like the themes that we're going to come across.
Yeah, and what we thought was quite damaging to have, say, like in a children's book.
Yes. So let's go, Hannah.
Okay, let's go.
So in chapter 1, we are introduced to our protagonist, whose name is Prudence King. She's 14 years old and she lives with her mum and her dad and her sister in the flat above her parents' bookshop. She lives a very, very sheltered life.
Yeah.
She was pulled out of school as a child by her dad, who like doesn't believe in education or something. He doesn't believe in like school education, so he allegedly was meant to teach Prue and her sister at home, but he hasn't really been doing that. They basically teach themselves. And Prue is getting to the age now where she's doing her GCSEs, and so this like education guy, I don't really know what he is, he's someone from like the education board or something, comes to the house to assess how well the girls have been taught, and they haven't really been taught very well. And so he basically threatens them with them having to be sent to school. So because Prue especially isn't very good at maths, her dad gives her money to go into town and get maths tuition. This is a huge thing because Prue describes her life as being kept a virtual prisoner in a house. She doesn't really go out a lot. She doesn't have any friends apart from her sister. She doesn't socialise. She talks about how she's like never been to Mackey's. Yeah. So she goes to this maths tuition. She hates it. She only goes once, but she lets her dad believe that she's been going. And instead of going, she just has a walk around, and she spends the money on underwear.
Yeah.
For herself, like sexy underwear, and she buys some paint, I think, and she buys her sister a chocolate rabbit because her sister Grace is like, she likes food. More on that later. So that's basically the most money she's ever had to herself, and she spends it on things for herself and her sister, obviously behind her parents' back. And she gives Grace the chocolate rabbit in secret, And we also learn that Prue hasn't really got much of an interest in boys. She doesn't really know anything about boys. In fact, I think she says that like the thought of kissing a boy makes her shudder, which same. But she does have like an imaginary boyfriend almost called Tobias, who is a painting, or he's like in a painting. And he's an angel, and she met him, I guess, or like she like conjured him up when she went to a museum with her dad, and she saw him in the painting, and since then he's been her like only like male friend.
Yeah, he's like the only male in her life.
So Hannah, opening the book, first chapter. What did you think?
Okay, so there was definitely some good in the first chapter.
Yeah.
Maybe we should start with that.
Yeah.
I think the one good thing that we picked up on was when Prue does buy the underwear, she does it's a form of rebellion for her, but she loves the way it looks on her. She doesn't buy it for anyone else. Like there's a quote. I love the way they look, the way they make me look, which is, you know, a healthy message.
Yeah, I like that. I like that, especially for her, because she talks about how her mum makes their clothes. So she makes them clothes that are like very like little girlish, like they wear like pointy dresses, and like the material, it's always like patterns with like animals on, or like checks. Like she usually wears like this red check dress that's like her staple, like her signature item of clothing.
Yeah.
So I think to have like a pair of underwear that like a quote unquote normal teenage girl would wear, it would be like such a big thing for her. So for the bad, what do you reckon?
So there was a few badly written parts of chapter 1. The most notable will have been on page 10 when we were told that, I suppose she's talking about Tobias, isn't she, in this bit?
Where?
When she's talking about the colourful medieval girl.
Oh my god, okay, right, yeah. So she's talking about when she first saw Tobias in the museum.
And he was dressed in a colourful medieval garb with dashing bright red tights. I tried to imagine a modern teenage boy prancing around in scarlet stockings.
That is just like, oh god, like
Jacqueline.
I think straight away like it alienates the audience.
Yeah,
like,
straight away like, okay, so who is Prue? Like
when I read that, I was like, what teenage girl would say colourful medieval garb with dashing bright red tights? Like, and I know like obviously the character of Prue is not meant to be like a normal teenage girl, because she has basically like educated herself from books that she's read. Yeah. In a dad's shop, and she's meant to be old-fashioned basically, but even then like you could just tell it was written by a 60-year-old woman.
Well, I think even like with the bit where she's like, I try to imagine a modern teenage boy prancing around in scarlet stockings, I feel like that's just Jacqueline Wilson, just that she's just talking through Prue. I don't know, like, so there's that bit, and then there's a bit where her younger sister Grace says, boys like you, Prue, Grace said. She sighed. It's not fair. I wish I was pretty like you, so boys would turn around and stare at me.
And the thing is, you get straight away in this book, you get this like this idea that Prue is so much better than her sister.
Well, it's like the way Jacqueline Wilson wants you to think Prue is like the best. She's so pretty, is by Grace putting herself down and being like, oh, Prue, you're so gorgeous. Boys love you. It's just, I don't know, I don't like it.
Grace is 11. Like, Grace... I don't like the idea that Grace is, wanting boys to chase her. And, thinking that she's, worth less than Prue because boys chase Prue. Or, what's the quote?
And, what 11-year-old sister is saying to her, 14-year-old sister, you're perfect. Boys stare at you all the time. It's just, it feels like a lazy way for Prue to be shown as this beautiful, amazing, perfect character.
She's definitely a Mary Sue. I've read a lot of fan fiction, and I've read a lot of original characters that are written like through it.
Well, it's like your name on Wattpad.
Yeah.
Oh, I was so ugly, even though everyone said I was the most perfect person in the entire world. That is like it's a running theme in this book. Like we'll probably talk about it a lot more because there's so much. Like everyone dies for Prue. Like everyone. Yeah, that is everyone's number one characteristic. Is that they...
Or, like, they hate her because they ain't her, basically.
Oh, yeah, oh, God. And...
Right, what else?
The yikes, I think.
Oh, the yikes. Okay, so, the yikes, Hannah.
So, the yikes in this chapter would definitely be the relationship with her father, because we're meant to sort of take it as he's ultra strict, he doesn't let them go out, he is... weirdly possessive, but I don't know, like, he's just abusive, like, in every sense of it, like,
definitely.
There's, like, even a quote where Grace is like, do you think Dad will ever let us go out with boys, Prue? And it's just weird and strict, like strict, I think is the wrong word to use.
Definitely, like...
Because for, like, a young girl to be reading this book, if her father's like this, she should know he's abusive, and she shouldn't be like, oh, well, I guess he's just... ultra strict, like
like dad. It says on the blurb ultra, like, does it say like controlling and ultra strict, or is it just I can't remember the exact way it was worded. It's literally just ultra strict.
Yeah, it's just ultra strict.
Well, it's more than that. It is more than that. Like, and we were saying before that it's not just because the dad is just horrible to them all the time.
Yeah.
Like he says in the first chapter when the education man, I don't know his name, I just literally wrote in my notes the education man. When the education man comes around, right, he's like, Grace has got no more brains than a donkey or something like that. Like, he just like embarrasses them in front of other people. He doesn't let them go out. But then at the same time, like, it's like neglect. In that he hasn't been educating them like he promised to. Like, when you homeschool someone, the idea is that they're meant to get like just as many hours of education.
Well, yeah, he's denying them of like an education,
which is like that's surely like it messes Prue up in this book because when, like, spoilers, but when she does go to school, she has no idea what she's doing and she can't really cope well in an educational environment because she's never like been in one.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know, I think that's the one thing I picked up from chapter 1 straight away, is that the dad is just outright abusive, and he's, I don't know, I think there could have been more.
Yeah.
I think Jacqueline Wilson could have definitely, I don't know, used that to, cause she's done it in other books as well, like, she will say in other books, like, oh, they have an abusive stepfather.
Yeah.
I don't know why she didn't in this book.
Definitely, and, she does it well as well.
Yeah,
like,
she does.
She does tend to like write like abusive parental figures, like not even necessarily like parents, like step parents and stuff. She does write it really well. Definitely. Normally, but in this book, it's like it's a pretty big part of the plot.
Yeah,
and it's just like brushed over, like, oh, dad's always been like this. Like,
it's never seen as like a massively bad thing because they still love him.
Yeah.
And they still care about him.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, as we'll see later on in the book, there's no, like, not even, like, a redemption for him. Like, even at the end, he's still like this.
Like,
there's no escape for the kids. It's just...
The book starts with, I hate my dad.
Yeah.
Which is... Right, so we noticed when we were reading this that the tenses change a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not really a literature person. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not. And I don't know if it was, like, done on purpose, but it starts with, I hate my dad, right? Which suggests that her dad is still, like, being horrible to her. At the time, she still hates him. Yeah, she still hates him, like, at the time the book is finished.
Yeah.
So, like, if nothing changes, then we have to assume that her dad is still going on to be abusive after the events of this book.
Yeah, definitely. It's strange because it's I hate my dad, and then in the next page it'll be like talking back in the past. Yeah. So it's like, okay, so there's been no development, there's been no sort of realisation that he isn't just strict, he's abusive. They have to kind of stay in that situation, and I don't know.
It
I
also
think
means that, like,
better.
the dad doesn't learn. Like,
yeah.
Like, we assume at the end of the book just goes on how he was.
Yeah, there's no, I don't know, kind of, like, if you related to this,
yeah,
I don't think that it tells you what to do, or it doesn't validate it, because it kind of just says it, oh yeah, they're just a strict dad, you can deal with it, Prue does, and I don't think that's the right way to go about it.
Like, the only consequence there is of, like, her dad being abusive at the end is, and we'll come to it, is their mum being, like, she has, like, one paragraph where her mum is like, I'm not going to stand for this, but, like, we'll talk about it later, but it doesn't really make much sense.
No, it doesn't. And that's the one, that's the biggest thing I think I picked up from chapter 1.
Okay, great stuff. So in chapter 2, it's the next morning, Prue wakes up and she starts painting something. I believe it's Tobias, can't really remember, I feel like it is.
Yeah, I think it was.
With her new paint, and her dad comes in, and obviously he doesn't know that she's bought new paints, and she's like, ah, God. But he doesn't notice because he says that he isn't feeling very well, but I think he says something like, oh, your mum's nagging me, I'm fine. But I think even Prue makes a point of being like, oh, he actually doesn't look well. He's also, like, I don't even really know the relevance to the plot, but in this chapter, we introduced to the fact that a dad is writing this thing, like, called the Magnum Opus. Like, it's not a book, I don't think.
No, it's, is it an autobiography?
Yeah, but the way she describes it, it's like, there's, like, pages of it just, like, scattered around the flat, and, like, no one knows what it's about. It's really hard to understand. Yeah,
I was surprised that didn't make any relevance to anything.
Nothing, like, plot-wise and character-wise, like, nothing happens with that I'm aware of. Like, nothing happens.
It's just, like, one of his, like, personality traits, isn't it?
I also forgot to mention that in the first chapter, I'm only mentioning this because it's relevant, she introduces the vicar pawn.
Oh God, yeah. How can we forget?
So in chapter 1, she talks about they sell this, like, Victorian erotica with this vicar.
Yeah.
I mean, when I first read it, I was like, why is she saying this? Like, what relevance does this have to anything? And I don't know what you were like when you...
Yeah, I was kind of just a bit like, very, very Jacqueline Wilson comment to make. Like, if it was going to be anything, it was going to be Victorian erotica, wasn't it?
Yeah, like, it's not, like, anything modern.
Like, oh, I'm writing for teenage readers, just
what do the teens love?
What do the teens love? Victorian erotica?
Yeah, so that's in the shop as well, but, like, ignore that, we'll come back to it. Right, so, yeah, the post comes, and they have a lot of bills. We learn that they're in a lot of debt, but the dad doesn't really believe in debt, so he kind of is just ignoring the bills, and, like, I feel like he says, like, rip them up or something, I don't know. There is another letter, and this letter is from Prudence's maths tutor, or former maths tutor, I suppose, basically saying Prudence hasn't been coming to her maths tuition. It's the first that her parents are hearing about this. Her mum and her sister just kind of assume that she's, like, got lost, or like there's, like, because these girls are, like, so sheltered and, like, naive to the world that they think there's no way that she could have, like, intentionally missed 3 weeks of maths tuition. But Prue is like, no, I did, I hated it, I didn't want to go. So then her dad is like, well, where's all the money gone that I've been giving you? It's £60, which I'm assuming it's, like, a lot of money because they're in so much debt. And this leads to a huge argument. And her dad ends up hitting her. He's very strict. He ends up,
ultra strict father.
So he's like, well, what did you spend the money on? She's like, underwear. And her mum and Grace are just like, no way, did you spend it on underwear? Like, come on, Prue. And then she's like, well, I'll go get it. And, like, honestly, this may be my favourite bit of the book. She, like, I can't get over, like, how iconic this is. She, like, gets the underwear out of the drawer and, like, lobs it at her dad. And And that well, I don't know if that causes him to have a stroke would be the right way of putting it.
But like he has a stroke.
So she does that, and then he has a stroke immediately after.
Yeah, just quickly following.
Yeah, quickly. Yeah, he's extra fuming, and he has a stroke. Is what I've written.
He
so
was.
This was
he
a
really
very.
was.
It was a very eventful chapter.
Oh, it was.
Which is kind of it's cool because it all takes place around the kitchen.
Yeah.
In the kitchen.
Yeah, that could be part about like our good, like in one space.
Yeah, I like that. Like it kind of happened in real time almost.
Yeah. To be fair, I think we picked out quite a few good bits in this chapter, which
is
we can
good.
talk about. Yeah, it's good. So we kind of see how wholesome Grace is in this chapter.
Yeah.
This is a Grace appreciation chapter. Like when her dad's having a go, Grace reached out and held my hand, which I love. I love Grace. Grace is amazing. She's such a good sister. She does not deserve Prue.
I know, like Grace is collectively our favourite character.
Yeah.
She's our only character that we like in the whole book.
Yeah, and like I kind of like in page 28 she said when her dad's like what did you spend the money on, she says she spent it on me, on chocolate, lots and lots of chocolate. Grace gabbled desperately. Like she's so good to her. She like there's no reason for her to be that nice, but she just is.
Like Grace is like risking abuse by her dad to
Yeah.
say that. Like that must have been like a really scary situation for her dad to be like shouting at Prue, and then for Grace to be like, no, like to come to her defense.
Yeah.
Like she's like so underrated in this book. Like no one says anything nice about her. She's so brave and she's so kind. I literally would die for her. I love her so much.
No, she's an amazing character. I think like, and she's written well, Grace.
I know.
Because
I agree.
Like Jacqueline Wilson does write younger characters a lot better than she does with Prue. I think because Prue, all the stuff she says, I'm a bit like, what 14-year-old is coming out with that sort of stuff.
And not just Prue as well, like we'll see later on, like the kids that go to school with Prue, are written so oddly. Like it's really bad. I hate it. But Grace is like so well written.
Yeah.
Like we were saying that we kind of wish the whole book was from Grace's perspective.
Yeah, like they could have had the same things going on, but it would have been a lot better.
Yeah, she's just like easier. Like I was literally every chapter waiting for Grace to show up.
Yeah.
And then when she did, I'd be like, Grace is here.
And she's the only character that speaks any sense in this entire book as well. Like, and which I kind of like as well. I like that the youngest character who gets hated on by everyone is the only character that seems to have any sort of sense.
Yeah, like from early on, she gets called stupid by her dad and by Prue.
Yeah, a lot.
And yet she really isn't. She's really like emotionally intelligent, I think.
She is, and like she catches on to things like and she helps Prue, and she tries to reach out to Prue so much in this book.
I know. And
she didn't deserve this.
No, she didn't.
Yeah, like you were saying about the scene where she throws the underwear down. We were talking about that actually. When they compared it to snakes when she threw it at her dad.
I like that. I really like. I like the description in this book.
Yeah,
I think,
definitely.
Is it in this chapter? I feel like it might be in this chapter, or maybe in like one chapter's time. She talks about like how her dad has like a vein on his forehead that sticks out like a big blue worm. I like that.
Yeah, I do like that. Like her descriptions are very visual, and I like it. Obviously, in some of them, I was not a fan of.
Yeah, there's a lot of in this book very like detailed descriptions about like eating and like mouth and like and it makes Hannah like have a very visceral reaction.
I just don't like it. I hate the like. I don't mind just visually describing other things, but when it's as in depth about eating chocolate and like I can hear it, I just I don't want it. I don't want it. It's too much for me. But yeah, I'm trying to think what else happened. So there was a few badly written parts in this chapter as well. You had a great
oh my god,
deal of anger about the paint box.
Okay, yeah. So in the paint box, she described it twice in like the same paragraph. So she says, I was terrified that Dad would see my paint box was new, bought with my stolen maths tuition money, and then literally four lines later, I'd close the paint box quickly so that he wouldn't notice that the paint palettes were pristine. Like, it's repetition. Like, she didn't need to put one of those in. Like, and she does. But that is I will say that is nitpicking. Like,
yeah, but
that is just like my preference of like how I would have written it.
Just
and,
things that annoyed us. Or
I know, like, Jacqueline Wilson has won a lot of awards that I will never win. So I'm just like, I am being like fussy, but yeah, I didn't like that. And I also didn't like that she talks about a dad being sick, but she doesn't say like Dad was sick. She says Dad had a bilious attack.
I like it's what is weird.
That is weird. Like, why would you say Dad had a bilious attack? Like, I know it's more descriptive.
Yeah.
But I just find that so strange that a 14-year-old girl in her narration is saying Dad had a bilious attack.
Well, I think it's with that, and because I think the narration in this book is quite simple. Like we were saying, we read it like 9 or 10 because it's not hard. It's not a hard narrative to follow.
No, it isn't.
Yet some of the language used in it, like there was the description of a typewriter. Me and you were both just baffled by it. We're like, what does that even mean?
Yeah. That was really. It was really like weirdly specific. Language that you would only really understand if you knew stuff about typewriters.
Yeah.
Which I don't, and which you don't.
No, which is strange because I don't understand how it's written so simply.
Yeah.
Yet there's some bits that
I was just like, right, okay, yes, that's how a typewriter works.
Up through. And another thing that kind of annoyed us, but at the same time, I can understand it because it's part of the mother's characterisation when Prue is basically like, I spent the money on underwear, and they're like, no you didn't, oh my god, you didn't buy underwear, and her mum says, oh my lord, you're not on drugs, are you? As if like, underwear, out of the question, drugs?
Maybe.
Possibly.
Like, I just find it, like, I don't know, I really didn't like that. Like, I just thought, like, one, how would Prue get drugs?
Yeah.
Considering she goes out, like, once every blue moon. 2, how would she do drugs? Because she's never away from her family.
Yeah.
3, why would she spend £60 of her money on drugs?
I mean, I guess it kind of, you're meant to believe, the mum is so stupid.
Yeah, like she's really naive. I suppose a mum is naive, like, you could say that, because a mum is, like, being abused by the dad character as well, like, in the same way that she's not really allowed friends, she's not allowed to spend her own money on things, like, because I'm assuming they both own the bookshop, but, like, the dad is in charge of the finances, and then a dad is terrible with the finances. Yeah. So, a mum is being, like, financially, like, abused too,
definitely.
And probably, I don't know, is he ever mean to the man? I can't really remember if he is.
More to the daughters, but you kind of do see where she's scared around him, like, she's scared to tell him things, and which kind of just shows you, like, she's also like under this kind of fear that he puts on them. But no, there's this chapter also introduced one of the biggest themes in love lessons, which was fat phobia.
Like, I've never read a book with so much fat shaming in it, which is so weird because, like, it's not even a book that you would expect to see fat shaming in.
Definitely. And like, weight doesn't even play into part of the plot at all.
No.
I don't, like, it doesn't even seem like casual descriptors. It seems really wicked. Like, some of the things that are said, it's, like, done in a very malicious way.
I know, like, and, like, extended, like, paragraphs about, like, her mum's weight and her sister's weight, and later on, Mr. Exbury's wife's weight. Yeah.
It's like, how many female characters are in this book? Like, all of them are fat. Apart from Prue, who's like, they're like, Prue, you're so skinny.
And, like, the ones that aren't fat, like the maths tutor and the head teacher and Rita.
Yeah, Rita.
Are all still described in, like, a really, like, unflattering way.
Yeah,
like,
definitely. Everyone but Prue is described as, like, all the women characters are described as being, like, ugly.
Yeah.
And
or
it's
like,
so strange.
Yeah, like, Rita was described as, like, the prettiest girl, but also the fiercest girl, or, like, also the meanest girl. Like, God, I hate that. Like, I know it's meant to be from Prue's, like, it's first person narrated, so, like, it's meant to be from Prue's point of view. And she is clearly, like, a flawed narrator.
Yeah.
Like, but, and making your characters flawed is a good thing.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to like her when every page she's describing someone, usually another female character.
In such a horrible way. Like,
yeah.
Like, here, like, in page 24, she says, Mum came plodding down the stairs in her old pink mohair dressing gown. She's been wearing it ever since I can remember. It was a mistake from the start. She looks like a giant walking candy floss. Like, it's just mean.
That.
It's just mean.
Like, if that's the first, like, reference to her mum's weight,
yeah,
I would be, like, still kind of like, oh God, that's a bit brutal. But I would be okay with that being the only, like, descriptor of her mum's weight. But literally, like, in every chapter, she's talking about her mum's weight, and, like, it plays no part in the plot.
No.
It makes no sense for it to be so... there to be so much of it.
Well, it just makes us sympathise with the mum and Grace more, because they're constantly getting hated on, and I don't understand why every single time Prue brings up her mum, she has to say, like, her massive thighs, her huge arms, and it's like, oh, sure, Prue, just let her live, just go. And the other kind of problematic part was again just the father being ultra strict, even though he hits her. He hits her. He actually hits her, and he calls her sleazy and tells Prue that she's not his daughter anymore because of a pair of underwear. And, like, this was a problem I had with the stroke, was, like, Prue's like, you're the worst father ever, you're my dad, whatever, what's she saying? You're the worst father in the world. The whole world. Okay, fair enough. Leave it like that. But then he has a stroke straight after, which I kind of feels a bit like, oh, there's Prue getting punished for kind of standing up to her dad, because you're meant to feel sorry for the dad, kind of. Yeah. Which I find kind of strange, because she stands up to him, which is a good thing. Yet we're kind of meant to be like, oh, Prue, you gave your dad a stroke. Like, the actual line is, I'd killed my own father.
I know.
Which, I don't know, I
agree.
And then with the present tense, it also doesn't make sense, because it's, I hate my dad, I had killed my own father, like, stay consistent. Yeah,
like, I know what you mean, like, it's like, because she had the audacity to buy some underwear for herself, because she never gets given her own money, like, it caused him to have a stroke, like, and she did that to him, she gave him a stroke.
Yeah, and, like, what, I don't know, I think it's kind of written in a way where we're meant to feel sorry for the dad. Yeah. And Prue did a good thing in standing up to him, but he has a stroke, which kind of takes away the impact
and
of
she
it.
does feel guilty, like, immediately afterwards. She's like, oh my God, what have I done? Yeah. Which, like, it isn't her fault. Like, she didn't know he was going to have a stroke, man. Yeah. So, in chapter 3, the dad's just had a stroke. So, Prue and Grace and her mum all try and give him CPR. It's written really, really grossly. I wasn't a big fan. We'll come to that in a minute. And a man rings an ambulance, and then she goes with him to the hospital, which leaves Prue and Grace to kind of wait it out until the man gets back. Prue's feeling really guilty because she believes that she gave him a stroke, which she didn't do. And then the man comes back and she's like, yeah, he has had a stroke and he'll be in hospital for a while, which means that he can't teach them, quote unquote teach them, anymore. And that's basically it for chapter 3. It's very short. Yeah, we even though it was short, we got, like, a few things, and one thing that we did like was when Grace said about Prue's underwear, when Prue was like, I don't even want them anymore, Grace said, like, I know they wouldn't fit me, but I could just keep them like secret ornaments, which is very precious. I love that. Grace. But I do love that, but, like, it also, like, just makes a reference to a weight again. Yeah. And, like, I hate the weight thing enough, but I hate it even more with Grace, because, like, Grace is, like, 11. Yeah, and, like, Grace mentions it in every single line, which
And it also, as well, like Grace is bringing it up, like, I know they wouldn't fit, I don't know, though, she brings it up a lot, but it's also kind of implied that she doesn't mind about her weight.
Yeah.
She doesn't mind that she's, like, overweight, but she still goes on about it a lot. I don't know, but, like we were saying, like, the whole, like, keeping them, like, secret ornaments, it is something an 11-year-old would do.
I suppose it would be in a way precious to her because it's not something that she'd have seen before. In fact, I feel like the underwear that they wear is described, like, I feel like Prue says, like, a man gets her underwear off a market stall and it's like huge, like, white knickers and that.
So it's completely different.
It's like something unknown to her, and it kind of, like, because they talk about how, like, there's a bit where don't they, like, look at, like, takeaway menus and, like, pretend to pick
and
like
they, like,
an
know it
order.
off by heart, and it's kind of a way for them to escape this, like, even if Grace can't wear them, just having them is a way for Grace to kind of escape being in this sort of, like, claustrophobic environment of being, like, controlled in every aspect of her life. So I liked that as well.
Like she, even if she can't wear them, she could own them, and she could say, like, these are, like, my underwear that, like, I have. I like that. I love Grace. She's brilliant.
I love Grace. There's also some parts that aren't the best. You were saying about the weird sarcasm Prue uses when
when she's like, I should have. So Prue rings the ambulance. I didn't realise that. Right, Prue rings the ambulance and she says, I should have asked for the police too, so they could come and arrest me. Which, like, I don't know if it's meant to be sarcasm or she literally thinks that, like, what she's done to her dad, like, even, she hasn't even done anything to her dad, but what she's done is so bad that, like, it deserves like.
Yeah, because if, like,
her dad literally hit her 10 seconds, like, maybe not 10 seconds, like, a minute before he had a stroke, and, like, called her sleazy and basically, like, disowned her,
It's like, if it's sarcasm, it's a very weird to say, considering they're all shook up. And if it's not sarcasm, and that's meant to show how, like, naive she is, it's just inconsistent with that she's also smarter than her mum and Grace, and she's the... there's one thing as well that I forgot that I liked in this chapter, and because they give the dad CPR, which is very disturbing, but it's Grace who's the bestest.
Like, Prue tries, but then have I written the line down?
I've got the description, get it up.
There's this one line that, oh my god, it was fucking horrible. I hated it. Right, the line is, so she's trying to give him CPR. I had to go, although it was awful, shoving my head so close to Dad, feeling his coarse moustache scratching my lips, his false teeth clunking against mine. I scooped them out, feeling I was violating my own father. Like, is that good description? Because it literally made me gag. Like, to me, like, the thought of, like a moustache, like, scraping against, like, your lips. And especially your dad's. And especially, like, putting your hand in your dad's mouth and scooping his false teeth out. That is disgusting. But was that the intention?
Yeah, like, it kind of meant to see, like, how uncomfortable the situation is. But, yeah, like, it's a good description, but it definitely made me feel really uncomfortable because it's so visual and, like, you can feel it.
Oh my god, definitely. I was like, oh god, I wish I hadn't read that.
Yeah.
It, like, it put me off my lunch.
Oh god, but there was quite a few lines, like, that I just found here that, like, kind of, you know, good. Like, it was actually, I didn't even realise, but it was Grace who first, like, sprung into action. It said, we stayed still for a second staring at Dad. It was Grace who suddenly sprung into action, surprising all of us. So I like that. It's Grace being the smartest, which she deserves. She deserves that.
But, like, it still says surprising all of us. Like, no one expects anything from Grace. And, like, she literally saves her dad's life, and they're still like, Grace is stupid.
Grace is so stupid. And her dad's still like, Fruit's my favourite.
Yeah, I know, like, Grace gave him CPR and he had a fucking stroke.
Oh, Grace. The There was something else from here as well, I think.
Was it the bit about where the mum's trying to give him CPR? And
that was it, yeah. Because, like we were saying in chapter 2, we were, like, thinking, is there anything that kind of suggests the dad is abusive to the mother as well? And there's one line where, yeah, it does suggest that. Do you want to... I can't find it.
I can, like, remember it, basically.
Okay, yeah.
Isn't it, like, she looked over him fearfully as though he was about to strike her at any minute?
Yeah, it was something like that, and it's, again, for you to be like that with your own husband, and...
I hate that it's just written, like that's the sentence. Like,
it's so, like, naturally, like...
And maybe that suggests that, like, I don't know, like, that's just what Prue's used to.
Yeah.
Which is
like,
sad.
she doesn't even question it. Like, the dad's literally unconscious from having a stroke, and the mother's still fearful of, like, reaching over to her husband in case he hits her.
Yeah.
Like, if that doesn't suggest that he's abusive...
It's just... It's...
Not
yeah,
good.
But then again, is that good storytelling to, like, to be able to, like, show so much with, like, one sentence that, like, the dad is really a monster, but then say that he's a monster, don't say that he's super strict.
Yeah, because it's like, maybe we're meant to see that he's abusive, because it's not like Jacqueline Wilson doesn't look at abusive figures.
Yeah.
Maybe we're meant to think that Prudence doesn't realise it's abusive, but but even if that's her intention, I think she needed to have some sort of recognition even at the end of Prudence, because otherwise I don't think it's done anything. Like, because fair enough, people might relate to it, people might be like, oh yeah, my dad's like that, but it's not even going to make them realise, oh okay, I'm in an abusive situation, because not even Prudence realises, even at the end of the book, she does not realise she's in an abusive situation. So no matter what the intention was, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like because she's writing for young people, like, something needed to be said, like, that is not okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, you shouldn't have to put up with, like, and even, like, the mum doesn't have to put up with being scared of her unconscious husband.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, there's a difference between, like, I don't know, like, you can't be the Dr. Dolittle for kids, but then also, like, show abuse and not kind of tell that it's that. I don't know, I found it a bit weird. Is there anything else? Have we been over everything, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there's just that bit where like, so they realise that they have to give the dad CPR, and then this line is like, we had never kissed dad on the mouth in our lives.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if I like that. Maybe it's just because, like,
yeah, because I couldn't tell if a lot of the times I was, like, nitpicking, because like, I know I can tell through that she's trying to show that they're not close.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I found the way she did it just strange.
Like, I don't know if it's just because, like, the thought of, like, kissing your dad on your mouth is not good. Like, but yeah, I don't know what it was trying to suggest, and I don't know why it was in there. Like, she could have easily just said, the thought of giving my dad CPR was really uncomfortable to me because we weren't close.
Yeah, completely.
Without, like,
without going into, like
kissing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, maybe it's nitpicking.
Maybe, but I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so chapter 4, they go and see the dad in hospital. He can't speak or anything, and we're introduced to his nurse, who is Nurse Ray, who is, like, basically the exact opposite of the dad. She's, like, very sunny and friendly, and he, like, hates her.
Yeah.
And then the girls are told by the mother when they're back at home that they're going to have to go to school because she, for whatever reason, I can't remember what she says, but she can't teach them anymore, like, at all. But they're not planning on telling the dad because he wouldn't be happy that they're going to school because he doesn't agree with schools. And they don't want to go to Wentworth High, which is, like, the rough school in the area, and the mum tries to get them into the grammar school, I believe.
Yeah.
And that's about that. Again, another very short chapter.
Yeah, there was a lot of bad in this chapter. I think we'll start with one thing that we picked up on, which was that the dad has got 2 names in this book. Because there's a line calling him Bernard, and then the next line calls him Arthur.
And they call him Bernard all the way through the book, and then just at one point he gets called Arthur.
Yeah, and it's...
And when I read it, I was like, has he always been called Arthur?
I know, but
then I flipped back, and I was like, no, he hasn't. He's called Bernard.
He's called Bernard. Why is it Arthur?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was strange. Yeah, that was like just one bit where we were a bit like, okay, maybe that's his middle name. I don't know. My family do that. My family go by their middle names, so I was like, maybe that's...
You don't know, do you?
No, my gran and my dad does all. Like my dad goes by his middle name. Everyone knows him by it, which is, I think, very weird. But you know, yeah, there was a couple more things that were a bit...
Yeah, that bit, right. So she goes to see Dad in hospital, and she says the man slumped in the bed was a Guy Fawkes caricature of our father, which to me sounds like she's painting her dad like in a positive light. Like,
yeah,
he's not what he used to be.
Yeah,
he's like a broken version of himself.
Like, we're meant to sympathise.
Yeah, like I didn't sympathise with him. He's
completely.
Bloody awful to her. But I don't know if that's just her guilt talking. Maybe it's just her being like, oh God, this is what I've done to him. You know what I mean?
It's also just a weird, like, it was a weird way to put it.
Yeah.
A Guy Fawkes caricature of our father. I don't know. We were talking about this as well. Jacqueline's use of the word "so."
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, I don't mind it, but it is used a lot. It's that she'll say like he hates hospitals, so, and there's a lot of that.
Like, I love him so.
I love him so.
Like, I don't know if it's a regional thing. Maybe it is.
Yeah, maybe.
She's from like down south.
But us, it's a bit like, I don't know.
I find it odd.
I wouldn't hear any 14-year-old being like, oh, I love him so.
Yeah.
He hates hospitals, so.
Yeah.
I don't know. And also, that I'm going to mention now because I've just remembered, her use of italics in this book, because when we were reading out quotes to each other, it was, oh my god, what was it? Oh my god, what was it? It was like, don't, let's go all.
Oh my god. Yeah.
I'm okay.
I did not, when reading this book, notice the amount of italics that she puts in.
Yeah,
and it wasn't until we were reading quotes out loud to each other
and
we were like, oh, it's in italics, let me just like put the emphasis on.
Yeah.
And it's literally like 3 words in italics per page.
Yeah. And like, it's just strange how much she does it. I didn't realise how much she actually did it until we were just reading it out to each other.
And again, like, I don't really have a problem with it.
Yeah.
Per se. But I do think that she needs to calm down a bit.
Like, chill.
Like, I don't think it needs to be as much.
No, I know what you mean. It's just strange how often they are used, I think. I mean, I guess because it's a book for teens, maybe she's just trying to find a way for them. I don't know, maybe she's just trying to, I don't know, maybe like use the repetition to make it easier to read for teenagers, maybe, because it's like obviously not meant for adult readers.
Yeah, maybe.
But again, it just felt like a lot. Like when we were reading it to each other, it just it was a lot. There was a few things, a few other words that we used that we thought were a bit strange.
What, like?
So there's the use of the word.
Oh yeah, contemptuously.
Yeah.
Contemptuously. I don't really know what that means. I think, does it mean like you're doing something like you hate it? Like contempt means like hate, right?
Yeah. It's just very. Like she uses words like this all the time. Yeah. In the next chapter, she doesn't know what a tether is.
I think it's actually in this chapter.
Is it?
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, contemptuous is like being scornful.
Yeah, like
but,
a man's like, I'm at the end of my tether, and she's like, I don't know, I wasn't sure what a tether was. I imagined Mum on a large rope, her fat legs dangling.
That was it, yeah.
Oh, it's in chapter 5. It's in chapter 5, but yeah, just some little bit of fat shaming sprinkled in
just
as well.
She didn't know what it meant when someone said, "Oh, I'm at the end of my tether," but she's out here like contemptuously, and talking about typewriters and like.
It's not like the magic of like Jacqueline Wilson books is that you relate a lot to the characters.
Yeah, completely.
Whereas I really struggle to relate to Prue like a lot.
Well, I think she's very inconsistent, so she's like, even though like some of her character traits aren't what a 14-year-old would usually have anywhere, because she's so inconsistent. Like, she's very naive, but she's also more educated than anyone. And she doesn't know what a tether is, yet she uses like language that like is very like out of the norm, like very like archaic, like old-fashioned words that like, I suppose because she like reads a lot of books, allegedly, but yeah, I know what you mean. It creates like a distance between like. And I imagine if, like, a 14-year-old was to actually read this book, they'd be like, what the hell? Yeah,
like, who talks like that?
She's not a relatable character, I don't think. But,
No, it's
just strange. But, then, obviously there's some kind of, like, problematic parts of this book, obviously.
One or two.
There's, again, some talking of how fat a mum is. God, I hate this line, because it felt like really angry. Like, I read this in like an angry way. Like, I don't know. Like, so the mother says to Prue, "Don't you think I ever want things?" Oh wait, there's the I was in italics there as well. Don't you think I ever want things? Mum saw me staring and burst out laughing. Not fancy underwear. Those nicks of yours wouldn't even go around my knee as a garter. No, there's all sorts of things I love, not clothes. I'm not worth dressing. Mum slapped at her thighs contemptuously, as if they were two great stupid beasts beyond her control. That's horrible.
Right, yeah.
Like, it's like, 1, the knees. It wouldn't go around her knees. 2, I'm not worth dressing. That's horrific.
Yeah, that's awful.
Isn't it? And then 3, describing her thighs as two great stupid beasts. Like, why are they stupid? Why are her thighs stupid beasts?
How can thighs be stupid?
Like, fair enough being like, oh, her thighs were like big beasts, but big stupid beasts. Who said they were stupid?
No, like, and also like, I love the implication that either Prue has a tiny ass pelvis or a mum has huge knees.
Yeah, like we were talking about that. We're like, how big is said knee? Like,
her knickers will not go around her mum's knee. Like, what? Like not a thigh, a knee. Like,
it was like in the other what was it? It was another Jacqueline Wilson book we were talking about, and like, unrelatable, just saying this is a Jacqueline Wilson thing, because she loves describing size, height, weight, and it was two girls the same age. Yeah, her height was up to her waist.
It's in the Suitcase Kid. Yeah, it's in the Suitcase Kid, and I remember this. I haven't read the Suitcase Kid in like well over 10 years, I would say. And the main character is meant to be really tall, and not like not that I can remember, like not like overweight. But then her stepsister is like also the same age, but like she comes up to her waist, and I was thinking like, how big is the main character as a 10-year-old, and how small is her stepsister?
Like, how is that possible?
Because when I was 10, I was about the same height I am now. Yeah. And I was considered tall.
To have someone up to your waist.
Yeah, so to have someone up to another 10-year-old that's that big, they'd be about 3.5 foot tall.
I don't know, like, I guess, like, she writes for kids, so she's trying to show, like, a lot of, like, a big contrast to emphasise it, but at the same time, for us, we were just a bit like, oh.
Yeah, and I suppose, like, describing, like, physical things is good for kids, because it, like, you can visualise them.
Definitely.
But, like, we were saying it's just a trope of hers that her characters are always either big or tall, or really tiny and skinny and, like, weak looking. Yeah. And they're always, I noticed this the other day, you know, they're all white.
Are there?
Yeah.
Every single one of... I mean, I'm not surprised when I think of every single, like, book cover and, like, all the characters.
I don't think, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but, like, I don't think there's ever been a non-white main character in a Jacqueline Wilson book, ever.
No, I can't think of one.
She's written, like, I've made a list, well over 60 books.
It's crazy, isn't it?
I know.
And, like, considering she doesn't always just do the same sort of character as well, like, she does, like we were saying, like, she likes to vary on, like, weight, height, their appearances, the class. She doesn't just write about the same sort of character, so it's quite strange she's never sort of gone outside of making white characters.
She should.
Yeah, she should.
Yeah.
Suggestion.
if you're listening to this, make a main character that's a person of colour. Like, why not?
Yeah.
You really should.
You like diversifying characters, so...
And it's crazy that over, like...
And she likes to, like, relate to people as well. Like, kids like to relate to her books.
Yeah.
So it would... And definitely having such, like, a scope as she does, I think making a character, like, who is a person of colour would help people relate to it more. Like, it bring a whole other audience that can relate.
Yeah,
as
definitely. Is that it for chapter 4?
I think so. There's only one kind of one more thing, and it was just like a little line, but it's just another thing to show that the dad is abusive, and it's kind of shown that he's just ultra strict, because it's just described that he's permanently grumpy. Like, that's one.
That is, like, so downplaying,
isn't it?
Like, permanently grumpy. Okay.
Like, hits your daughter.
Permanently
he's just grumpy.
He's just grumpy. Like, no, you should be teaching your audience that if your dad hits you, he's more than permanently grumpy.
Yeah, definitely.
And you should, like, think about, I don't even know, like, getting social services involved.
Yeah. And Nurse Ray.
Nurse Ray, okay, right, yes.
Yeah, this isn't a big thing, and I might be nitpicking at this. This is just a comment I made when reading it, rereading it, sorry. And when I sort of got introduced to Nurse Ray, like, yeah, she's this lovely, sunny character, but I don't know, I found him very patronising towards the dad, because it's said, like, he's mentally capable, he just can't talk, but she talks to him as if he's, like, I don't know, like he can't understand, and I just found it a bit patronising. I didn't like it. Like, I was thinking, like, if I had a stroke and, like, I couldn't talk, and I was still, like, fine, I could understand if someone was talking to me like I was a little kid. Yeah. I'd be a bit like, oh, okay.
I mean, I just not ignored a character, but, like, I don't know if I was, like, too focused on, like, other things.
Yeah.
I just didn't I don't think I made any note about Nurse Ray at all, which
I was just slightly annoyed by it.
Shows what, like how good a character she is, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, apart from that, I think are we done?
Yeah, it's chapter 4.
So, chapter 5, we learn that there's no places at the grammar school, so they've got no choice but to go to Wentworth, which is like if they had to go to school, they really didn't want to go to Wentworth at all because it's the roughest school in the town. Grace is really worried about going because she is worried that she isn't going to make any friends and that she's going to get bullied, whereas Prue seems a little bit more confident. So they go, but they can't afford to pay for a school uniform, so they have to go in the homemade clothes, which is not good because Prue kind of anticipates that they are going to get, like, comments and people are going to stare at them. Prue wears her red checked dress, or her tablecloth dress, I think she calls it, and Grace wears a dress with little pandas on it, which I imagine looks really cute. And but underneath her uniform, Prue wears her underwear for, like, she's like, oh, it's to give me some confidence on my first day of school. And also, their mum goes with them, which Prue doesn't want, and I think she even straight up says to her mum, like, you're embarrassing, don't come with us, which I think is horrible. But, like, they walk through the gates, and like, the mum's, like, trying to grab the hands, and, like, Grace is, like, cuddling up to her mum because she's really nervous because these, like, really, like, rough looking kids apparently are, like, shouting at them and stuff. But like Prue's like walking with her head up high because she's just like trying to prove to them that she's like not scared. So they go in and they're a bit lost, and at this point we're introduced to the villain of the piece,
our antagonist,
Mr. Keith Raxbury, who is
he's called Keith.
Yeah, he's called Keith. Like, they make this big deal over the fact he's called Keith. So Mr. Raxbury is the art teacher, and Prue is into art, and he points them in the direction of the reception, and they meet the head teacher, who, like, is there some, like, sexism going on? I feel like
it's like a massive thing where they're like, she's a woman and a head teacher.
Yeah, and she's, like, quite, I don't know, like, she kind of seems like she doesn't like Prue almost immediately.
Yeah.
It might be because, like, she has a painting on her wall, and she's like, oh, Prudence, you like art, and I have this art, and then Prue's like, oh yes, it's this, and then she's like, no, it's this, and then Prue like corrects her, and she's like, no, it's this, and yeah, she's just Prue basically, like before she even started school, she's just like annoying people, and so the mum and the head teacher talk for a little bit, and then the head teacher tells the girls that they have to go into this room and take some tests to decide where to like put them in their sets, and then the mum leaves them. She doesn't really want to, but she does, and then it's their first day of school.
So this chapter is gold, in my opinion. There's so many amazing things in this chapter, like the banana hands.
Oh my god, the banana hands!
Oh, banana hands! I think that might be my favourite thing in the entire book, because when I read it, I just didn't know how to act, because
read the quote.
Oh god, where is it? So when Prue is with I think it's with the head teacher.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, yeah, it's. Doesn't she like say that like Mrs. Wilmot, the head teacher, has like neatly manicured hands, and then she says,
Mum hid her own bunch of banana hands in her floral lap. Bunch of banana hands.
Like, I was trying to imagine that in my head, like like hands that look like a bunch of bananas, like.
It's such a horrible description. I was literally trying to imagine. I was like, what? So they're like curved and like big and.
That is
curved.
awful. Like I said earlier, like, we already know that a man's overweight. Like, why does she keep going on about like a man's fucking big, huge, curvy banana?
Oh my god! Oh, she goes like off on this chapter. To be fair,
she's like, this is the chapter where I was like, oh my god.
This chapter I had to just take a bit of a step back. Like, there's instantly the Grace talk about how fat she is, and it's like with the first chapter when Grace is like, oh Prue, you're so pretty, she says, it's alright for you, you're pretty and skinny and clever, you'll make heaps of friends.
Oh my god.
But what about me? They'll all pick on me and tease me because I'm fat.
Like, that sounds like a piss take of like a YA romance or
legit,
something.
Doesn't it? It seems like in the fanfic, like,
yeah.
You're so pretty and skinny and
clever, and I'm so fat. Like, what? like, what? No, it's awful. It's awful. I hate it. And I hate that that is coming from her 11-year-old sister. Like, I know I've already stressed this, but like, an 11-year-old girl reading this book is not going to have a good image of herself after reading it.
No, definitely not.
When like everyone values Prue so much because of how she looks, and like Grace is clever. Like, we've seen Grace do clever things like save her dad's life.
Yeah, well, and I think like fair enough if like this is Prue's character, that she's very judgy of overweight people. But the message that I would get from this book, reading it, because like everyone talks about Prue being like, oh, you're so skinny, and it's like a good thing. I mean, it's 2005, so maybe that was more, acceptable then, but whenever anyone's talked about as being overweight, it's just like done in such a derogatory way that if I had like at 9 reading it and being like, oh, I'm like Grace, I have like a bit of fat on me, like, you just feel awful about yourself because the descriptions are so like disgusting when talking about fat people. It's like you can't help but feel like even like there's one character in it that isn't even described as that overweight. It literally says she's not fat, but she was overweight, and she's described in like this really vivid, disgusting way. I don't know. I don't think it's a good way to go about it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Oh, and this is the Don't Let's Go at All chapter as well. How could we forget?
So when we met up to discuss this the other day, you were trying to read this sentence for about 5 minutes.
It's horrible.
Because the way it's structured, like I think it is like grammatically sound.
Yeah.
But she says, what does she say?
Oh,
Prue, don't let's go at all.
Oh, Prue.
Don't let's
go at all. Oh, Prue. Oh, Prue.
Hannah was just sat doing this. She was like, don't let's go at all.
Let's go at all.
Don't let's go
at all. It just didn't compute in my head.
Yeah.
And again, it's like, this isn't even Prudence, that's the thing. Like,
that's great.
With Prue saying it, we can pass it off as just being Prue because, like, you know, it's Prue.
Yeah.
But Grace saying, don't let's go at all, I don't know, it just didn't make any sense to me why that would have been said. There's loads of, like, weird lines in this chapter, though, like, this one that you told me about
oh my
frocks.
God. Yeah, that one sent me, like, I cordially hated all my frocks. Like, this is, I'm like torn because is it Prue or is it Jacqueline Wilson?
Yeah, it's so dated and awkward.
Like, I made the comparison before that, like, the George Nicholson series, the Angus Thompson Perfect Snogging series, like, written around the same time, character is a similar age.
Yeah, they're literally 14.
Where, like, and I feel like the authors are a similar age when both books were written, but that series captured, like, what a teenager was like, and how a teenager would speak back then in 2005. But, like, to me, like, her, like, Louise Renaissance, like, teenage voice was a lot more believable than Prue saying, I cordially hated all my frocks.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
Even a 14-year-old who is a bit old-fashioned and hasn't spent a lot of time with other teenagers would not say that in 2005.
Yeah. It's just strange because, like, with Jacqueline Wilson making this, like, a teenage book, like, she's made this for teenage readers, and it seems like the only times you can see that it's aimed at teenagers is, like, when she's making really obscure references to, like the Victorian erotica.
Yeah.
Just because it's a teenage book, because none of the other language in it is what I'd expect teenagers to relate to.
No, I would, I mean, it's not relatable.
And then, my personal favourite bit of this chapter is the way that she talks about the rough kids at school.
Oh my God.
Like, I don't know, when you read it, you could just, like, tell that Jacqueline Wilson did not go to a rough school in 2005 because apparently, as Grace and Mum and Prue are walking into the school, and this is yelled at them, God, what do they look like? Mum's a walking sofa, the little blobby one's a duvet, and the skinny stuck-up cow's a tablecloth. How good is that? That is amazing.
Like, what? Like, what teenager says that? That isn't, I'm assuming, a normal teenager.
Yeah.
Like, not one that's been sheltered for the past 10 years from the world. That's just your average teenager heckling someone.
It's so strange. Like, imagine going to, like, school and someone's like, oh, they're a walking sofa. Like, they're a duvet.
Like, no.
It just doesn't happen. Like, realistically, like, 15-year-old rough kids, yeah, they might heckle you.
Yeah.
But that's not what they're going to say.
Yeah.
In any school.
Like, I don't know, I got told to look like an insect when I was at school. I feel like that's a lot more believable than, like, the little blobby one's a duvet.
Yeah,
like,
blobby
what?
one's a duvet.
Like, no. That's bad. Don't.
God. But, like, this is where you can kind of see the separation between, this isn't just Prudence's character, this is a writing
because the writing style applies to more than just her.
It's like, even, like, straight after the description of Mr. Raxbury, like, I don't know, God, so he's described as having a diamond earring in one lobe. He looked young, but the beard surely meant he couldn't be one of the pupils.
Like, duh. Oh my god.
Like, what?
Oh, Jesus.
Like, the first message you sent to me when we were both reading this was, honestly, the beard and the earring could be, like, side characters in this book.
They honestly could. Like, the amount of references to the beard and the earring, like, every time he was in it, there was a reference to his beard and his earring. And I think, like, that was maybe because she was trying to be like, oh, well, that's not something Prue's seen a lot of.
Yeah.
So it's, like, cool to her that he's a teacher with a beard and an earring, so she really wants to emphasise that point. But it got to the point where it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like the way that she was kind of running out of ways to describe his beard and his earring.
God, the neat earlobe.
Yeah.
The neat earlobe.
Like she's like, his earring twinkled, his earring sparkled. His
Yeah.
earring and his beard was so neat and pristine.
God, it's just enough of the earring and the beard. It was too much. It felt like sometimes it felt really awkwardly placed as well. Like she said about the neat earlobe. Like she mentioned like his earring twinkled in his neat earlobe, and I was like, what does that even mean?
Like it wasn't, his earlobe wasn't hanging.
Yeah, like, oh, he has a neat earlobe. What does that tell us about him? I don't understand what having a neat earlobe does.
Like neat, like suggests that like he like grooms it.
Yeah, like what? It's his earlobe.
Yeah, that made no sense.
Maybe it's just Prue being like, oh, everything about him's perfect. Like
even his earlobe is
like,
neat.
Yeah, but I thought it was really awkwardly placed. But yeah, that was a bit strange. Yeah, there was a lot. There was the banana hands went over that, and the painting. Prue is written really weirdly, especially when she was talking about the painting, because like we were saying, like she doesn't know what a tether is. Yet she said, no, it isn't. Talk about the painting. He paints very differently, in a poetic and an ethereal way. I just adore his work. Like, shut up, Prue. Like, I can't like her.
Yeah. I guess the argument there is she's got no social skills because she's never been socialised.
Yeah.
But, like, oh, that made me roll my eyes. Like,
I just can't like her at all.
Yeah, and then I suppose, like, then Mrs. Wilmot, the head teacher, just starts to dislike her from that point.
Yeah, maybe that gives a bit of reasoning as to why later on in the book the head teacher does treat Prue really unfairly.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just Prue things.
Alright, so chapter 6, they're in the room called the Success Maker, I believe. Mm-hmm. And they're doing these tests to decide what sets to get put into. And when they open their like exam books, Prue is like horrified to realise that she's been given a little exam for people in year 10, whereas Grace is given one for people in year 7. And I don't know why she's shocked at this. She's like, Grace got an easy test, but like Grace is 11 and Prue's 14. And so Prue is like, oh shit, she can't do any of the maths and science bit, but like she's happy to see that like she got like Romeo and Juliet extract for the English bit. So she wrote this essay, this really long essay, and she thought that she did quite good on that, but she ended up being put in quite a low level set, which she's not very happy about. She thinks that she's like better than that. So then it goes through her first day at school. She goes to her English class, and her English teacher's called Miss Godfrey, who is just like unnecessarily rude to her. Like she doesn't have an exercise book because clearly she's new. She also like I'm assuming the teachers weren't told that she was homeschooled prior to this, because Miss Godfrey doesn't like give it any sort of like slack for not knowing what an exercise book is. Yeah. And she also like, it makes no sense to me because it's clear that she's new, and Mrs. Godfrey's like, where's your exercise book? And she's like, I don't have one. And she literally just started class that day. And then she goes to PE, and she takes off a a dress, and she's wearing obviously the silky underwear, and the girls all laugh at her and like call her a slag and stuff for wearing underwear. And then I'm not sure if this is the chapter where she can't tell the difference between a computer and a TV in IT. It might be.
It probably is.
But that might happen. I can't remember. And so then school's done. She comes out of school, and Grace is really happy because she's made 2 friends called Iggy and Figgy. They're actually called Jean and Fiona, which I find so funny because they're meant to be 11.
So far, the kids at this school are called Rita, Jean, and Fiona.
Yeah.
Lord. Toby.
So Iggy and Figgy have made friends with Grace, and Grace is now called Piggy, but she's like cool with that, and they have like a little secret wave, and it's all really cute. And Prue, however, is like really like she just reacts in like such like a jealous way, and such like a spiteful way, because it's clear that she's jealous that Grace has had a good day at school, whereas she hasn't. She hasn't made any friends. No one likes her, which. No. I mean, it's not... I kind of don't see how it's her fault. And so she runs off, and she nearly gets hit by a car, and lo and behold, it's Raxbury's car. He stops, and he's like, "Oh, girls, have you had a good day?" Grace is like, "Yeah." And then he's like, "What about you, Prudence?" And Prudence is like, "He remembered my name." Which I find so silly, because she's not really, up until this point, like, made a deal of like she hasn't really like shown that she fancies him.
No. It's really like weirdly sudden.
Yeah, and that's how it ends. That she's happy that he's remembered a name.
Yeah, I think like I'm gonna just concentrate on the good.
Yeah,
for a second,
concentrate on the good.
And that is the wave. Honestly, that like. Oh God, Grace making friends. I was like, brilliant. Yeah. No one expected it.
Yeah.
Everyone said she wasn't. She did. Yeah. And then like this is what I mean. Like with Jacqueline Wilson, she writes younger characters so much better. Like about the like little like wave that they do. It is something that 11-year-olds would do, and I like it. I like how they're so innocent, and she's making these friends, and I liked it.
And then Prue comes along and she like stomps all over it. Like, it's so awful to say, because Grace is just like trying to live her best life, and then Prue's just like, it's horrible that they call you Piggy because you're overweight, and Grace is like, no, I don't mind. I just like that I've made friends.
Oh
like,
God, Prue! Why do you do this to her?
Yeah.
It's like I get that we don't have to like Prue, but. There's hardly anything likable about her, and the only thing that I want to like her because she goes through something so horrible.
Yeah.
And like even with her father, like her entire storyline is tragic.
Yeah, definitely.
But her as a character is so unlikable and horrible. She's horrible to Grace. She's horrible to her mum.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, for God's sake, Prue. It's when she's saying to Grace, like it's even the way she talks about Grace, she's like she says when she's talking about Grace being called Piggy, she describes Grace as puffing out her cheeks and patting her fat stomach. I wanted to die for her, but she seemed thrilled to bits with her new name. She just doesn't understand what makes Grace happy. She's just like embarrassed for her.
Yeah.
She again is like her fat stomach. We get it, she's fat, okay. And then there's a lot of bad things in this chapter, to be honest. Like I'm trying to think if there's anything with Grace, but it's just Prue being rude, really. Like she wonders
the whole
if
chapter.
Yeah, pretty much the entire chapter. If Iggy and Figgy had simply made up this nickname rubbish on the spot to make a terrible fool of Grace, but they seemed such sad loser girls themselves, it didn't seem likely. Such sad loser girls themselves.
That is brutal.
Prue, like, you don't have a friend yet. What are you doing?
Like, it's so clear that, like, she's just like, oh my God, I can't believe that Grace isn't being bullied. I can't believe that, like, I'm the one who hasn't made any friends. I'm the one who's had a horrible day. Grace is, like, coming out of school with a big smile on her face and, like, arm in arm with her 2 besties. and she just hates to see it, and she just reacts in a really bitter way, and
Yeah.
it's awful.
Like, Grace is so happy, and Prue's response is, yes, well, they obviously don't like you, calling you Piggy. That's a hateful nickname. Like, oh, shut up, Prue. Like, leave it out.
I know. It is really sad to see. Like, she can't stand to see Grace happy, almost.
Makes me sad. But, no, there's also some big yikes.
Okay.
God, I was thinking about the little racism
Oh my god,
that
yeah.
Prue puts in this chapter.
That is crazy. Like,
Yeah.
I when I read that, I was like, oh, Jesus. Like, I didn't remember that at all.
I didn't either. I completely didn't. It was, on page 70, Prue said, some could barely speak English and were traumatised, looking round fearfully as if they expected a bomb to go off at any minute.
That's in the room where they're doing the tests. There's like other people in there, I think, doing
It's like
doing other tests.
It's so naturally like embedded in the text as well. Like that's what we were saying. That it's so like I don't know. It's as if it's just a simple description. No, we're not meant to even like think twice about it. We're just meant to be like, oh yeah, they're just expecting a bomb will go off. Like I don't know. It's just
that is
just a bit of a yikes, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Any more yikes?
I think there was another one.
There's another one.
It was this because obviously this is like it's the second time we've met Mr. Exbury, isn't it?
Yeah, the first time was when he like showed them round a little bit and then like took them to reception when they were lost.
I think the yikes of this is kind of we see the grooming starting to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So when Rax nearly runs Prue over,
I just can't believe that like that's how they met. Really, like when he nearly kills her. Like,
he's like, oh, nearly ran you over there, Prue, and that's just normal. And he just says, get back on the pavement before another car comes along and really knocks you flying. That's such a weird thing to say, by the way. Like, oh, I nearly ran you over, get on the pavement before another car knocks you flying. It's just a bit gross, because obviously we know this is him starting to get friendly with her, and he knows she's in a vulnerable situation. He knows she... because obviously they know the home situation, the teachers. And he also, Rax says they can check each other out at their upcoming art lesson, which
as well, like, he knows that she, like, the only thing that she really likes is art, like, because she does tell him.
Definitely.
And it just seems a bit like, because obviously we know what's coming. He literally started this on the first day she was at school.
And it's straight away, it's like, oh yeah, in the art lesson, it's just, there isn't that professional teacher-student relationship.
They can check each other out. I really don't like the way that's worded. Like, like, check each other out. Is it, like looking... like,
well, this is, like, his whole personality, despite... obviously, if you ignore what happens... It's using this because he wants all of his students to call him Rax. He's like this with all of his students, which I know we only see the like Prudence having this sort of relationship with him, but because he is so like, oh yeah, just call me Rax, I want to use. It's just weird because it does highlight he's a predator because he's earning these kids' trust. And he's earning Prue's trust because he's like, oh yeah, I'm Rax. I'm not one of the teachers. I'm one of you guys, and it's just like knowing what's happening. It just shows that he is a predator, which is strange because I don't even feel like that was the intention of it. I feel like the intention of that was to kind of romanticize him a bit, like, oh no, he's not like an old teacher. He's a guy, like, I don't know.
He's not like the other teachers.
He's not like the other teachers, and Prue's not like the other girls. So.
Gosh.
And this was about you, like we're talking about the teachers being rude to Prue.
To me, right, it made no sense that the teachers would just hate her instantly, and it really does feel like that.
Definitely.
Like, in the English lesson, the English teacher doesn't, like, is really rude to her because she doesn't have an exercise book when she's clearly a new student, and the PE teacher is rude to her because she's wearing the wrong underwear, which she wouldn't know to wear because she's never been to a PE lesson. She doesn't know how to play it. I think it's volleyball. Because how would she have ever known how to play volleyball?
Every teacher to comment on underwear as well, and all the students are bullying Prue, and the teacher's just like, she says, plain brown big knickers next time, Prue, and it's like, that's such a weird, unrealistic thing for a teacher to say.
Yeah, it just wouldn't happen.
No, it wouldn't.
Like, I know that, like, I'm not a teacher, obviously, but
yeah.
They would be told, listen, this girl's come in, she's been homeschooled for like 10 years of her life. Her dad, literally 2 days ago, has had a stroke. She's in a really rough place, so can you please just like try and cut her a bit of slack because she's bound to be nervous. And instead, everyone's just like going in on her. But I do think that it's kind of like, it's done so that the only person she has is Rax.
Yeah. And I think that's such a damaging part of it, because in turn, that makes Rax look better, because like all these teachers were meant to antagonise them, because they're all horrible to Prue.
Yeah.
Like they're not even just strict; they are horrible. They're unnecessarily horrible. And the only nice teacher is Rax, which just romanticises him, and it kind of justifies the relationship they have, because they're like, oh, Rax is a nice teacher. He's not like all of them.
He even says it later. He was like, I was just trying to be nice to you.
Oh,
like,
God.
No, it's bad. So in chapter 7, it's like the night after a first day of school, and Prue's already starting to think about Mr. Exbury a lot. Prue and Grace and her mum go and see the dad. He can't really speak that much, and he's quite frustrated. So Prue like is trying to like help him get his voice back, but they have to remember to like act like they're not going to school because he won't be very happy. Not that he could do anything, to be fair, but yeah. Then when they get back, Iggy and Figgy ring Grace, which Grace finds that very exciting, but Prue doesn't. Prue again is just really bitter and like basically says the exact same things that she says in the chapter before, but in this chapter. So basically this is another chapter of Prue just being rude to Grace. So then she goes to bed and she summons her imaginary friend Tobias, who basically reassures her that she's precious and that she's not like the other girls, and that in fact I feel like he literally says like, you're not like the other girls.
Yeah, he literally does.
Oh god, right. Okay, and then that is it.
Yeah, it's a strange one. I think the one kind of good thing I got from this was Grace's kind nature is addressed by Prue, which I liked. She said, I couldn't bear Grace being so kind and understanding. Her sympathy somehow made things worse. I still won't talk to her. But at the same time, it shows Prue is a horrible person.
Yeah.
Like, she understands how kind and lovely Grace is, and she's still being like, I'm still not talking to her. Because
Why isn't she talking to her? Was this an argument that they had? Because I have a fair few arguments in this.
Maybe. I think it's just because she's jealous. I don't know.
Like, you see what I mean? Like, when you read 2 chapters of Prue being horrible, like, it leaves a really bad taste in your mouth. Like, I can't get behind her. Yeah,
completely. And it's like, it's not even like just in a few chapters, it's in every single chapter. She comes for Grace. Like, I hate this line when she's saying that she's nicknamed, like, oh yeah, she's looking like that nickname suits her.
Yeah, like, read that line, because that line is real bad.
That is... I'll find it. Okay, yeah, Grace came thudding down the street, cheeks bright pink, her pale eyelashes fluttering, looking alarmingly aptly nicknamed.
That is awful.
God, like, how are we meant to sympathise with Prue?
Yeah, I know.
Or, like, because we're not even, I guess, we're meant to see Prue as, like, this amazing, like, smart, pretty,
like
amazing character, but she's just horrible the entire way through.
Are we meant to find Grace annoying? Because I don't.
No, I don't find Grace annoying, but I feel like that's kind of, I don't know, suggested. I don't know, it's like we were saying, I think this would be better if it was Prue Grace's perspective, because we'd at least have a likeable character.
Yeah.
And even if Prue wasn't likeable, I think we'd find it easier to sympathise with her, because we wouldn't constantly be hearing every other line Prue being like, she's fat, she's ugly, she's stupid.
Yeah.
Which would make it much easier to like relate to and sympathise with, but I don't know. But oh god, there's even in this chapter there's more description of Mr. Rax, which I feel like I have to
Oh my god.
say.
Come on.
I hate this line. He looked so cool and laid back with his casual jeans and his earring. What? Like, what?
He looks so cool and laid back.
Cool and laid back with his jeans. And the earring making another appearance, like, a line later.
Yeah, that is awful. That is awful.
Well, yeah, and then again, she's talking about when he nearly ran her over the other day.
Yeah.
And it's saying, you could still see his dark hair, a little beard, and the tiny glint of an earring.
The earring.
The glint, it's sparkling, don't get it, like, oh, is that it? It's just not nice. Oh, and there's a great line in this. That's
oh my god! Oh, I hated this line. This line was like second. There was 2 lines in this book that I hated. One of them was this one, and the other one was I hated Dad's dry clasp.
Oh my god!
Which we will come to. I think that's in the last chapter.
Yeah.
So Prue is visiting her dad in hospital, and she says to him, "I'd bet you'd nosh on a plate full of spag bol if they'd serve it up to you."
Oh my god, I hate that word.
Nosh.
I don't like it.
I'd bet you'd nosh on a plate of spag. Like, I hate, like...
It's like I can hear it.
Yeah, like, open mouth chewing.
Yeah, that's what I'm... like, it's like we were saying, like, the whole eating thing, like, the way Jacqueline talks about eating, like, I'll give it to her some great descriptions, but I hate, like, really vivid descriptions about eating. It makes me feel really sick.
Like, that's not like the moustache thing when she was giving him CPR and like fishing his dentures out of her mouth. Like, I suppose that was like meant to be gross, but here she's just like not like.
And like as well with like the dentures thing, that contributes to the story because it's showing the uncomfortable relationship between Prue and her dad. But with this and with other ways food's described in this, I don't understand what it's contributing to the story at all. Like, it's really vivid descriptions of how people eat, and it doesn't do anything. I mean, what does it show fat people are, maybe? Like, is it again, like, because like sometimes she'll describe like how Grace eats, and like it's meant to be disgusting, so everyone meant to be like, oh, Grace is so gross, she's eating. But it,
like, the word nosh is just like, it gives me like goosebumps. Like, I don't like it.
And like I don't think it goes with the character either. Like, Grace is like, I cordially hated my all life frogs.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like it being her character. And her dad as well. Her dad's the same. Her dad's like really pretentious and like constant. Like,
he's writing a fucking manifesto.
Yeah.
Like
I don't think they would relate to each other over, oh, Dad, we nosh on a plate full of spag bol. like it's so casual
I hate that.
I don't think it's consistent. So that was a big thing for us. that somehow really troubled us.
Yeah, I know it's literally like one sentence about eating a plate of spag bol, but I really didn't like it.
And I hate how this chapter is the introduction of Prue not being like the other girls, which is constantly mentioned in this book. I hated that. Just like the entire way through, Prue's not like the other girls.
Yeah.
So she's so cool, and it's like, no.
Like, I mean, in terms of like her experience and like her backstory, I suppose she isn't like the other girls.
Yeah.
But I don't like how, because of that, everyone else is worse than her.
Yeah, and like because she is different, it means she is superior to every other woman. And if a woman is womanly, then they're not as good as Prue.
Yeah.
Because they're like the other girls. I don't know. I mean, for 2005, I guess it's not a problem probably.
But again, it just reads like 100 fan fictions that I've read, and like this is Jacqueline Wilson. This is like the best of the best children's author there is. Completely, and it's constantly mentioned. Yeah. Like, what does Tobias say? If we wrote it down.
He told me that he liked me precisely because I was strange and passionate and peculiar. He said all the other girls in my form were
banal. Is that how you say that?
Banal and ordinary by comparison. Oh, God, like this is what I mean though. It's not even just other people saying, Prue, you're so different. It's an imaginary character that she's made up, saying, oh God, the other girls in your form, they're so ordinary. You're passionate and strange and peculiar. Like, peculiar and strange mean the same thing, right? Yeah, like Prue, that's special, sure.
Yeah. Like, she's trying to justify the fact that she pushes everyone away.
Yeah, because she's superior to everyone.
Yeah.
But this is it. I guess it just comes into the thing where Prue is just the most unlikable character in this book.
Yeah, she is. Apart from Mr. Axbury.
Oh god, yeah, apart from Mr.
And
Axbury.
the dad.
And the dad, yeah. But she's not a likeable character.
No, she's not. She's awful and tiring to read. Like,
yeah, she
literally.
Is.
By halfway through this book, I was like, oh my god.
Because she's just so hateful.
Yeah, she really is hateful.
She's so, like, she's just full of spite.
Like, Jacqueline Wilson has other characters that have flaws.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Tracy Baker, for a start. Like, Tracy Baker has, like, pure, like explosions of anger.
Yeah.
And she destroys things and, like, shouts at people. But you can still sympathise with her. Like,
completely.
And she's still likeable. She's still, like a charming and relatable main character. Like, she's one of the most, like, iconic children's characters of all time.
And she still manages to write it in a relatable way.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it's like in the back of this book, like on the back, it says, our children's, Laureate has an uncanny understanding of teenage girls. And I just can't agree.
No, me neither. I really don't. In this book, no, like, we're reading Girls in Love next,
yeah.
in fact. So maybe in that, like, we'll see her be a little bit more, like, I don't know, authentic.
Maybe. I just think, like, in this book, and to have that on the back of this book, because it's not even just Prue, it's all the girls in her class.
Uh-huh.
None of them are realistic or likeable.
No, they're not.
So, that was chapter 7.
Oh, God. So, next day in form, all of Prue's form class try to take her clothes off because now everyone knows that the day before she wore sexy underwear from Anne Summers to school. So Toby, who is the most popular boy in the class, comes to her defence and basically gets them to stop because it's actually Toby's on and off girlfriend Rita, who is basically the main bully. This is the chapter where she goes to science and maths and can't do anything because her dad basically never taught her how to count, and then she goes to IT and she can't tell the difference between a TV and a computer because she doesn't have a TV and she doesn't have a computer, and the IT teacher thinks she's taking the piss. And she's like, no, I genuinely don't know.
God.
Yeah. And then she goes to English and she got homework the day before, left it in a locker because she didn't realise that she had to do it, and then Mrs. Godfrey goes off it because she didn't do her English homework and it was due in that day, so she gives her 2 lots to do, which again, I think, how would she know she has to do it on the night before if you didn't tell her?
Mm-hmm.
Like, she doesn't know how to do homework, she's never done homework, and it's just another way, I think, of, like, saying that all teachers hate her for no reason. So she finally goes to the art class, and she gets there really early because she wants to be the first person there, and she does some painting, and Mr. Axbury is very attentive and says that she's like a very good artist, and then he tells her that she's going to be the one that makes his teaching worthwhile.
God.
Which is
That's horrific.
Which is not good. So Hannah, what have we got?
Okay, so we got a lot of yikes and a lot of bad.
Any good?
I couldn't find one really. Not for this one because
it's all bad.
For this, for chapter 8, I was not. I don't know. I didn't like anything in chapter. I just didn't like. I was honestly trying to go through our like notes and be like, but no, like the line about Jane Eyre, that might be the worst thing I've ever seen.
Right, okay, so you know how we said that, like, Grace is really well written and, like, she's the best character in it? Well, there's this one line at the beginning of chapter 8, like, Hannah, say it, like, you say it like you're an 11-year-old.
Are you reading Jane Eyre in your class? Grace asked, how lovely for you, as it is your favourite book. What?
Awful. Like,
as it is your favourite book.
As it is your favourite book. Like, there is a way of saying that Jane Eyre is Prue's favourite book,
like,
and that is not it.
Jacqueline.
Like, I swear she already has said that Jane Eyre is Prue's favourite book. Like, she talks, because she had an imaginary friend before Tobias called Jane.
Yeah.
Who was just Jane from Jane Eyre.
This is like, because we're meant to think that Prue is an avid reader. Yeah, the only book that is ever mentioned is Jane Eyre.
Yeah.
What an awkward way to put it. How lovely for you, as it is your favourite book. Like, when would Grace ever say that?
Like, you just say, like, oh, it's good that you're reading Jane Eyre.
Yeah, like, oh, that's good.
The thing is, like, that is, like, an outlier of, like Grace's character, because Grace's character is usually, like, on point, and then she just comes out with, how lovely for you, as it is your favourite book.
How lovely for you, as it is your favourite book.
I mean, she also says, don't let's go at all.
Oh yeah, she was the don't let's go at all. Yeah, don't let's go at all, and how lovely for you, as it is your favourite book.
Like, it's so awkward, it's so, like...
Well, it's like them and the outliers when she's like, oh, Prue, you are so skinny and pretty, I am so fat, no one will like me. And
maybe
it's like,
Grace isn't well written. No, like,
those bits I'm kind of like, I don't feel like Grace would say that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're right.
And then this is shortly followed by Grace scurried forward on her fat little legs. Like, go on, Prue. Just shame her a bit more. Like she needs that.
It's so weird that it's just constant. Like,
yeah, like I'll be really interested to see how she describes fat people in her other books. See if it's a Prue thing or a Jacqueline thing. Because I honestly don't remember this.
Me neither. But like, maybe it was just something that we weren't looking out for at the time.
Yeah. The amount of times it happens, it's so strange though. And then then we've got more kids from the school saying very unrealistic things like, it's posh Prue in her red check tablecloth again. Yuck.
Yuck.
These are 14-year-olds at the rough school saying yuck.
Yuck. Well, didn't we read something that was like, she did a research into, like, I don't want to say, like, schools. Yeah, in a working class schools, by going in a ward and someone threw a milk bottle at her.
Yeah, she was like, oh, a milk bottle was thrown, and then the police had to be called. And
that was like it.
Yeah, so I don't really know what her experience of working class schools are actually like. But like, I really doubt it was people saying, yuck.
Yuck. Yeah, that is, yeah. Like, I went to a very, a school that didn't have a great reputation. And, like, no one said yuck.
No, that wasn't a common thing. I think this is the chapter we're introduced to Toby as well, which is also a very unrealistic representation of a boy at school. Because he's meant to be this kind of, like, bad boy. And, oh god, I hate the line where the first thing he says is, like, when they're trying to undress her in the farm, and they say, leave her alone, girlies.
Oh my god, I hate that.
I hate that. I don't know, it just...
That made me cringe.
Just same. And then, this is, like, followed by, he was the only boy in our class who was even remotely good looking. So, you know, he's the good looking bad boy who, after this, shows no sort of sign that he's the bad boy. Yeah. And his only personality trait is that he fancies Prue, pretty much. That's literally his entire personality.
He's like he's with Rita, or like he isn't.
Yeah, like
he is at this point.
Because is this Rita's first intro as well?
I think so. Or maybe no, because she was the one in the changing room that was like, oh, look at her underwear. Yeah. Like the day before. So like I don't.
Because Rita's intro is she was the theater assistant, probably the prettiest.
Oh, I hate like the idea that like traditionally like pretty girls have to be horrible. Like doesn't she have like blonde hair and she wears makeup?
Yeah, there's something about her eyeliner.
Yeah, she has like eyeliner on, which means that she just has to be
a horrible person. It's again like with the whole like anyone feminine who's like other girls is a demon or not as pretty and perfect as Prue. Yeah. And yeah, like she's a very one-dimensional character. Like she's like, don't you dare go making eyes at my Toby. And she's, you know, there we go. We've got a cliche cell. We've got the mean popular girl who's just horrible to our beautiful, amazing, skinny protagonist for no reason whatsoever.
It's really tiring as well because, like, this conversation I feel like happens like 3 or 4 times in the book where Rita is like, you're trying to get with my boyfriend, and Prue's like, I'm not, and then she's like, but you are, and then Toby's like, I don't even like Rita, and then I like you instead, and Prue's like, I don't like you.
Yeah, she doesn't do anything to kind of egg him on, and she just constantly gets blamed by Rita, which is just unrealistic. But this chapter as well, it's a lot of racks, and
whole lot of racks,
and he's very problematic in this chapter as well, because it's about we're introduced to Sarah as well, aren't we?
Oh my god, yeah.
So in Prue's art lesson, Rax is helping Sarah paint a portrait. Sarah has learning difficulties, and she also tells Rax in the book that she loves him. And I know he's a young teacher, he's popular with everyone, but he also draws her as well, which, I mean, I don't know, I just find it strange, like, knowing that he has these relationships with his students and abuses them, and it's just, of course, the two that particularly love him are two very vulnerable women that he takes advantage of, really. And then Mr. Rax is described in a way which, again, we were talking about how the teachers are like demonized, which makes Mr. Rax look good because it says he didn't act like a teacher, he was so different from the other teachers.
Oh my god, he was so different from the other teachers.
No, it's so bad. Because like Mr. Raxbury wouldn't ridicule me like the repellent Mrs. Godfrey. Mr. Raxbury was kind, and it's like, oh,
like, she doesn't know him, like, this is her second day of school, like, it's really bad, like, she like has this like unrealistic expectation of like who he actually is as a person, and he like just goes along with that, like, he will know, like, he claims that he has no idea that she was like so into him, but he will know that like he is doing something to her that is like,
it's wrong, and he's blaming her. And it's Jacqueline Wilson using these like horrible teachers to make Rax look better, and it's weird, it's so weird and damaging, because it's kind of like the people this book's aimed at, it's like, oh, you go to secondary school and all your teachers are horrible and one's really nice to you but also like kind of makes advances towards you. He's really nice and he's kind. He's not like other teachers.
He's not like other teachers.
Oh,
that is so ridiculous.
I know. And then obviously the line that is, you're going to be the girl that makes my teaching worthwhile, which is just horrible. Yeah,
that is so bad.
And he's initiating, like, you can't even spin it any other way. If you say that to a student, it's unprofessional. It's,
doesn't it say like he pauses before he says it or something, like he
yeah, he paused, then he said softly, you're going to be the girl that makes my teaching worthwhile.
I hate it.
It's inappropriate, and it, like, that pause is showing that he was thinking about it, like, should I say that? Because that's inappropriate, and he still did it because he knows what he's doing.
That's the thing with him, he does it a lot, like, later on, when they kiss, like, he, like, stops, and then he does it, like, he's, like, thinking, oh, yeah, should I?
Well,
and he just does it anyway.
It's so strange, because it does it as well when, he says, oh, it's no wonder you got so attached to me with everything that's happened with your dad. So Jacqueline Wilson is showing that Rax he's aware, he's so aware of why this is happening, yet he's still choosing to do it. Like, it's not like, it's this accidental thing that he didn't even see coming. She's showing that he's seen it, but she's also romanticising him so much, it's really confusing. I don't know, chapter 8 was a lot.
It was a lot, and it was all bad. Okay, chapter 9, it's been some time, we don't really know how much time, and Prue is back in Raxbury's class, and he makes her a map of the school that she really likes, and like he ties it with like a ribbon and that. He then talks about his family and shows her a photo of his wife and his kids, which is, you know, weird, but it only gets weirder. And then she mentions that her family don't have a lot of money, so he offers her a babysitting job on a Friday night to make some more money. she's quite buzzing about that, so she goes home and asks her mum if she can do it, and mum's a little bit hesitant at first, but then she says that she can. Grace, on the other hand, is suspicious about it and asks Prue if she fancies Mr. Exbury, and Grace shows again that she is really emotionally intelligent. Prue just brushes it off, and that's chapter 9.
Yeah, I'll start with there was a couple of good things in chapter 9. There's like a part when all the boys are like twanging a bra and trying to pull a skirt up, and the quote is I hate the feel of their hot scrabbly hands. I know I should stay calm. But I shrieked and slapped at them, making a spectacle of myself. We liked how reflected of the reality that Prue doesn't want to make a scene while she's being sexually assaulted.
Yeah.
We kind of wish this was looked at a bit further, just to show Prue's not in the wrong and that people shouldn't touch people without consent.
Yeah. And it's just sort of left at that.
Yeah, and we're glad they touched on it. I mean, Jacqueline touched on it, but there could have been more.
Yeah, I don't even know, they're just
a
teacher coming along and being like, boys, stop doing that.
Yeah, rather than just being like that's it.
Yeah, Prue's just like, oh no, I made such a fool of myself
by
shouting.
Like the use of it, to make Prue be like, oh god, I've made such an idiot of myself. It's like, shut Prue, no, you aren't in the wrong.
Yeah.
And then one thing that I kind of liked is how Grace actually draws attention to the fact that Rax is an adult, and shows that it's. I think she kind of hammers that it's wrong. She calls him old Rax. And,
oh god, I love that.
Old Rax.
Old Rax.
Old Rax. I don't know. Thanks, Grace. Thanks for that recognition. But then again, she just slips in some 2005.
Oh my god, yeah.
Saying Iggy says it means you're gay if you just wear one earring. Though I suppose he can't be if he's got a wife and 2 children. Okay, Grace.
But again, I just remember people saying that when I was at primary school mainly.
Yeah.
But
he's got one.
He's got one earring on his left earlobe. That means he's gay.
Yeah. Oh god. What else has this chapter got? It's got oh god, the earring in this chapter is mentioned yet again when Prue's telling her mum that she's babysitting for him, and she's like, you've met him, remember? The teacher with the little beard and the earring. As if, her mum's come back, the earring.
I remember that earring. The beard, maybe. But, the earring.
How
I feel like her mum actually is like, God, the teachers in this school are crazy. Mr. Exbury had an earring.
You can tell this is Jacqueline Wilson's kind of,
That is what alternative fashion is.
Yeah, an earring?
Not in my school.
Never. No, oh god, it's strange. And then Prue is also just highlighted as a horrible character again in this chapter when she's talking about Rax's kids and his wife. She even describes the kids as being uninterested. They seemed surprisingly uninterested. Prue, why?
And she's even chatting shit about literally a 3-year-old and a 6-month-old baby.
It's literally a 6-month-old baby. And she's
uninteresting.
Uninteresting, Rax. What are you doing? And his wife she wasn't as pretty as I thought she'd be. Just
she's not as fat as Grace.
Not. Oh god, yeah. That's Oh god, there's that. I did that in red because I was like, that is just a casual bit of fat phobia yet again. She wasn't fat. Not like Grace, certainly not like poor mum, but she was a little too curvy, big breasts and also a big tummy and a big bottom. Maybe she simply hadn't got her figure back after having the baby. Not only is she coming for her mum and Grace, it's that whole idea of that she after having kids she should have got back to being as skinny as Prue because she's married to Rax and Rax deserves that.
I really hate it's just it's internalized misogyny of
completely.
A woman should always look her best. If she's had children, she should be expected to maintain a suitable figure after giving birth, which permanently changes your body.
And it's that idea that, like, she's not good enough for a husband because she, after giving birth to his children, she isn't the way she used to be. It's just so strange and damaging,
it's
as
horrible.
usual.
It's really bad, and like, that also isn't something that should be in a book for teenagers.
Yeah, completely.
Opinion. Like, oh god, no. Bad.
Obviously, there's a lot of problematic Rax stuff.
Of course,
because like from the minute we meet him, it's just downhill, isn't it?
Yeah, but, it's real bad.
Like, Rax shows that he knows about Prue's father, so he knows about the vulnerable situation she's in. He says, someone in the staff room said your dad's not well at the moment, and it's just highlighting that Rax knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He knows she's vulnerable. He knows that she's likely going to be in a really sort of confused mind, like state of mind, because like it's the first time I go to school. Your dad's really ill, like, and he's initiating something.
Yeah.
It's wrong. And then attention to his age is like covered. It said he was probably in his mid-20s, plenty old enough to have children. Like, God, like, this is the love interest of a 14-year-old, and like it's drawing attention to how old he is.
Yeah, and like it is literally, he is the love interest. There's no. This book was never meant to show him as anything other than a love interest.
Yeah, and and then this line we were talking about is horrific. Raxbury was talking about like Prue and Grace's names, saying Prudence and Grace are quaintly beautiful names. They make me think of little Victorian girls in pinafores and button boots, which literally shows that Rax likes how young Prudence looks, which is so weird and strange. And she's a vulnerable, sheltered girl who's going through a lot, and he's showing not only like, well, obviously we know from later there's attraction to her. Because of how young she is, and that's like part of her. It's
so weird because we were talking about how often in like I haven't read a great deal of books that cover like people being groomed. I don't know about you, but like the thing is that the predator is like, oh, you're so mature for your age, you look so much older, you act so much older. Whereas in this book, it's like the opposite.
Yeah,
like there's a load, and like we'll probably go through them, but there's a load of references to her looking, acting, being younger. Like he literally says at one point that she's acting like his 3-year-old.
Oh my god, I remember that. Yeah, and like at one point she does her hair up to look more sophisticated, and she says it's to make her look older, and he says he prefers it down because it makes her look younger.
And doesn't he call her like a kid? Like, like he's like, you're a funny kid. You're a funny kid. Like, that is someone that he says he has fantasized about at night.
Yeah,
like that is disgusting.
It's just strange because like when we were reading some of the reviews about it, like it'd almost been a debate whether Rax was a paedophile.
Yeah.
And he is. Like, I remember someone saying, well, there was no actual, like, sexual content. I was like, there is, though. Like, what they do together, it's a sexual relationship, and he shows that he fantasizes about her, and, like, he says he does, and it's like, you can't say that isn't, like, paedophilia, because it is.
It is.
And, he shouldn't be seen as this, like, love interest that just happened to fall in love with a 14-year-old, because it wasn't like that. He initiated a relationship with a really young, vulnerable woman, and he's still romanticised the entire way through the book, and it's so weird and wrong.
I even think that if they hadn't kissed, he would still be like a paedophile to me, because he's shown that the attraction is there. Like he clearly is attracted to a 14-year-old.
Yeah, and he's groomed her. Yeah. He's groomed her into trusting him.
And like he's like isolated her away from everyone. Like she has fights with her sister and stuff. She's the one that's saying like, no, he is old. He's married. Like,
Grace is the only person in this entire book that's like, don't you think this is a bit weird? Like everyone else kind of like I guess the only other people you see kind of talk about it is the head teacher later on in the book, but it's only Grace that's kind of like, oh, don't you think this is a bit wrong, Prue? But yeah, that was chapter 9 was bad again. It was bad,
so I think we're going to put this into 2 parts.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's getting a bit long.
We haven't check to see how long this is going to be, but it's definitely over an hour.
Yeah.
Maybe even 2, I don't know. So if we finish this off and then in 2 weeks' time we will upload the second half.
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll see you then.
Our song of the week is Let's Get Out of This Country by Camera Obscura, and if you have any questions and comments, feel free to contact us at our Twitter, which is donhanreviews, or email us at donhanna273@gmail.com.